Jessica McDonald, daughter of Jim and Nancy McDonald. Casey McKibben, daughter of Larry and Marilyn McKibben. And Todd 8th, son of Kenneth and Anita Chase and Lynn and Alice 8th. And I have some certificates and pins for them.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I knew I was going to do that. I could hear it start a while ago. Good attendance and dependability are traits which are important for all of us to develop. Prospective employers often contact me for a reference and they inquire about what the individual's attendance was like when they were in school. The top priority for them is, can we depend on them to be at work each day? Now, attendance habits that students pick up at this point in school carry over into adulthood. And the individuals we're about to recognize have accepted that challenge of being responsible by building a good school attendance record. This class, by the way, demonstrated a real high priority towards school attendance because 37 out of the 67 missed 3 days or less during the year. I don't know if anybody else had to fight the flus and the viruses and everything else during the year, but that's really something. With the following students who missed only 1 day, please stand and be recognized. J.K. Fleming, son of Mr. and Mrs. Joe Fleming. Please remain standing until I read all. Sam Freeman, son of Mr. and Mrs. Charles Freeman. Stephen Kinzer, son of Mr. and Mrs. Mike Kinzer. Deanna Rynerson, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Dennis Rynerson. Joy Tennis, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Roger Tennis. Chris Trinkle, son of Mr. David Trinkle and Mrs. Carolyn Trinkle. Shannon Wallace, son of Mr. and Mrs. Clarence Miller. And Jeff Wilbur, son of Mr. and Mrs. Dale Woodell. I think they all deserve a round of applause, missing only 1 day. Also, if you've seen the list of our absentees, a lot of times on, what is it, Thursday? Or what day is it that the dentist comes? That generally takes out quite a few, okay? The following students missed only 1/2 of 1 day, okay? Did not miss a day at all during the year. Would they please step forward, be recognized up here by the stand? Jonathan Amborn, son of Mr. and Mrs. Ron Schomaker, Mr. Rob Amborn. James Eisenhower, son of Mr. and Mrs. Mark Eisenhower. Tony Jenkins, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. James Jenkins. Melissa Johnston, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Larry Johnston, Sr. Clint McCammon, son of Mr. and Mrs. Jim, or of Mr. Jim McCammon and Mrs. Gail McCammon. Jessica McDonald, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Jim McDonald. Scott Nash, son of Mr. and Mrs. Keith Nash. It's going to be a pretty long line, isn't it? Todd 8th, son of Mr. and Mrs. Kenneth Chase, Mr. and Mrs. Lynn 8th. Amanda Rynerson, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. J.T. Rynerson. Brian Turpin, son of Mr. and Mrs. Joe Turpin. I really don't think the stage is going to be big enough. Christy Turpin, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Leroy Turpin. DJ White, son of Mr. and Mrs. Ronald King. I have a perfect attendance certificate and a pen to present to each one. Is that they show respect, flag and national anthem for other students and citizens in our community, public and private property, respect for other students and adult leaders in the school, demonstrate the willingness to assume citizenship responsibilities in school and community. They work to build school pride, help publicize and honor and beautify the school. They display good sportsmanship, whether it be as a participant or as a spectator. And they're friendly toward new students into the school and help them get well acquainted. The two individuals from this group this year that we're going to recognize as the winners are Miss Deanna Reinerson and Mr. Christopher Marcus.
Stephen Michael Kinzer. Amy Elizabeth Kennedy. Michael Bruce Lee. Brandy Nicole Klein. Christopher Wayne Allen Nash. Casey Amy Jo McRoberts. Todd Michael Navis. Kelly Lee Phillips. Gary Dean Ogan. Christina Evelyn Sumners. Christopher David Trinkle.
Well, aren't you too handsome? Give me a break.
We're planning on being there. I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna go carry this.
You guys can move. This is a... Yeah.
Should have blacked it all out.
He's going to use those tomorrow. He's going to use those. Oh, he is? Break him in. Ruin that nice paper.
It's a king-size pencil!
He might be surprised.
I saw him dressed up, and the first thing I thought, there's a lawyer.
A shyster, maybe.
Shyster.
Let's see if there's paper.
Yeah.